in Romans 12, and we actually had stopped at 12, I think, is where we were at, right?
Yeah.
Just so that we can get a good running start on it, I'm going to start back at 9 again and go through this up to a certain point here. Let love, Romans 12, verse 9, let love be without hypocrisy, by abhorring what is evil, clinging to what is good, being devoted to one another in brotherly love, giving preference to one another in honor, not lagging behind in diligence, being fervent in spirit, and serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in affliction, being devoted to prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, pursuing hospitality. Bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep, by being of the same mind toward one another, not being haughty in mind, but associating with the humble. Do not be wise in your own mind. I'm going to stop there for a bit. Okay. And last week we did touch base on if I remember right, correct me if I've just dreamed it, verse 12, rejoicing in hope, persevering in affliction, and devoted to prayer. We talked about that. And while that does laid out some 3 very critical things, it's really not to stop it. We just stopped because of time. The thought is continuing. It's not okay, here's this, boom, here's another new thought, boom, but they're all tied together. Starting 13, contributing to the needs of the saints. I guess before we get into that little phrase, I guess we need to remind ourselves, why is Paul giving us this list? It feels like a list. It feels like a punch list. It feels like this is minimum Christian level type of thing. Why is Paul going through all this?
He's just trying to remind them how to get along and how to be God's people, how to be the church.
Wouldn't it be obvious for all of these?
Sometimes we have to be reminded of the obvious.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a Christian tradition to fall back on.
There's that too. They didn't have this upbringing of our grandparents and our parents' parents and on through that tradition also. This is kind of I would imagine, I'm not there, brand new to them, right? I mean, this is kind of a new way of thinking.
I think Paul is trying to, when I read lists like this, of anything, but specifically here, he's trying to describe, and this is a cliche the way I'm saying it, describe the indescribable. It's like going up to something, anything, go car, big crane, whatever floats your boat, and try to describe it. Well, it's big, it's got this, it's got that, it's got this, and it's got this, it's got that, it's got this, and it's got that. I mean, how would you describe your car compared to a normal old-fashioned gas guzzler, you know? You wouldn't be one thing. You'd be going through just, and you wouldn't stop. You'd just be going on and adding more and more and more and more and more and more. I think that's kind of what he's doing here. It's just like, there's no one way to describe what a Christian is or how you should behave. He's just kind of, and this, and this, and this, and oh, by the way, this, and yeah, and this too.
What I was wondering about is, up until then, I didn't know how apostolic the different sects of the religions were.
Yeah, that's true.
And at this point, I think he's trying to say we need to be an example and bring our religion bring the word to other people. And so, therefore, these are the qualities you should exhibit.
As an example.
Yes.
But it's interesting, he's not targeting a particular sect, as you called it. He's given, I'm not going to say generalities, but he's not saying you should do this and this only, and I guess in some cases he is. But it's like us trying to describe the difference between being a good Christian as opposed to being a good Baptist. You know what I mean? Because there's Baptists and other sects in your terminology, but, you know, denominations. But in the core, we believe in the same thing. And I think that's what he's trying to do is get back to the core without getting the specifics of one versus another.
So in the book of Romans, he's been addressing to two main groups, right? The Gentiles and the Jews.
Right.
What do you think the known characteristics of the Gentiles are? And what do you think are the known characteristics of the Jews? Would the Gentiles be more of, hey, whatever you want to do, just do it. There is no real morality, just, you know, if you want to sacrifice your child, go for it. You know, if you want strange worship processes or idols, go for it. And the Jews, what are they known for?
I would think, the Gentiles would lean more towards the slothful and the Jews more towards the haughty, is
Okay.
my impression.
Okay?
Yeah, kind of regimented.
Right. What are other things that Jews are known for? I'm looking for something in particular. And that is their vengeance, how they repay people. We look at the Old Testament laws, and or a better example, Jesus, who says, "You have heard said, an eye for an eye, but an eye for an eye. But I tell you," and he gives a slightly different thing from the Old Testament to the New Testament. What he's doing is he's trying to pat down that vengeance attitude, because the Jews were known to not just pay back, but way pay back what was done to them negatively. They went to the ultra extreme, and a lot of the cases, the examples in the Old Testament where that's patted down. It gets, don't take so much vengeance, don't take so much, you know, and they keep patting that down. So I think he's addressing both the characteristics of both sets here. Not by saying, you know, hey, you Jews, do this. Hey, you Gentiles, do this. But rather, what people are known to do in a negative way, I guess, here. And I think that's one of the whys behind it. But I do think I do think there's a list of minimal that's in here. Maybe it's just my opinion on that here. So we get to contributing to the needs of the saints. Why would you bring that up? It would imply there's one, saints have needs. That's one implication out of that statement. Two, they weren't contributing to the needs of the saints.
Who is he referring to as saints?
Good question.
I would guess.
I guess there's a
like,
third.
Like much the same definition as brother. We've already seen the word brother used
Right.
when you're talking about believers.
Right.
So I think usually the context in saints
Right.
in the scripture means believers, not like we think of saints.
Right, like in St. Paul or
Right.
any of those things. I agree with that. Yeah.
But surely in all of his writings, he defines it
I
somewhere.
don't know, but don't call me Shirley.
Yeah. Sorry.
It just slipped. It's just
Yeah.
Shows
your upbringing. But, you know, with all of his writings, and I'm not a theologian to know, but I would imagine it's specified somewhere or implies somewhere what the word saints are. But I just don't know the reference. Is there one?
Oh, you mean like saints are?
Or all of us are saints, or all of the believers are saints, or something, you know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like he addresses in the beginning of Corinthians, you know, unto the church of God which is at Corinth, to them that are sanctified, called to be saints.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
And the Greek word there is, hagios. So, let's see, it says, religious ceremony consecrated from the word, prayer. So anyway, I don't know, that didn't add a whole lot of insight to it. That's what it showed here.
Yeah, I mentioned there were two groups, and I might have to take a half step back, because, yes, we had the Jews, Gentiles. The third group I may offer are the Christians.
Well, actually, these are Christian.
Jews, Christian Gentiles, right. And that's what I meant by kind of a
The
third
group
kind
is
of,
non-Christian.
yeah, that overlay, that,
Yeah.
anyways, and that's who he's talking about. I do think he's talking about the Christians.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so back to my question. Apparently, there are needs, and I would think by him saying contribute to the saints means that there's some lack of contributing or something to that effect in order for him to even bring it up.
Well, even when they first start talking about deacons, and I guess it was First Timothy or
Well, that was in Acts.
Acts, where the reason that they even set up deacons is because the complaint that the Gentile believers' widows, I said that right, weren't getting as much service as the Jewish Christian widows. I think I said that right.
Right.
But it was a believers, but there was still an internal segregation, if you will, between Jews versus Gentiles, even under the Christian umbrella. And in the deacons' side, it was the widows. So I think there may have been a felt disparity, whether there was a real one or not, or just perceived.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's kind of addressing that here.
So
Not about the widows, but just the disparity.
So maybe my premise is wrong. Maybe it's not, hey, you should start, but rather continue contributing. Continue what you're doing, because the time that you're mentioning about forming the deacons, if you will, and now is many, many years later. So the attitude of contributing to the saints, I think, were already well established in place. So maybe really when I'm looking at this, should be continue to contribute to the saints, not just contribute, but contributing. I know it's a nuance of word, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they were doing some kind of
right,
benevolent,
right.
I mean, wasn't even Judas's role inside the 12 to be the purse keeper
Yep.
for their ministerial,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah. Their travel expenses.
travel,
Yeah.
expense reports?
Yeah. On it. So what kind of needs do you think the saints have?
Food, shelter.
Shelter?
Were they
You mean they
being-
didn't have Medicaid, Medicare to take care of
were they
government
being
programs?
persecuted by this time, get thrown in jail for their religion, or does that come later?
Well, I think if you were in the heart of Jerusalem, I think the persecution was high. And there are many forms of persecution, not just they walk up the street and smack you, but, like prevent you from doing business, not helping you or supporting you in some other way, or disowning from the family. I mean, there's a lot of that possible, different ways of being persecuted, I would think. They're not just overt ones. Yeah, basically I was trying to point out that there was no real social program as we have today, even as bad as the Christmas story, Charles, what was it? Dickens. Don't we have the poorhouses? Was the phrase that was always in my mind, to take care of the poor. Don't we have the poorhouses? Well, no was the answer back then here. So there had to be some kind of support system that goes on.
It doesn't necessarily mean the physical needs of the saints.
Okay, yeah,
It could be spiritual needs, you
Yeah.
know, we really deep into it.
yeah,
You know, the counseling, the encouragement, the whatever, teaching
right.
of Christianity is a need. And, you know, we all kind of, or at least jump into the lack of food, the
Right,
kicked out of
right,
bed,
right.
or
It's just the
the
most
husband died.
obvious,
and
right, yeah.
Nobody support the family, and all that sort of stuff. But it could be anything.
I guess I should ask that question. I just presumed of an answer, but contributing what? Well, are you talking finance, encouragement? You know, is from a physical to a social encouragement. You know,
Yeah.
kind of.
Probably anything. I should imagine that this was a situation kind of like if you were trying to get a job in Hollywood. You were a Jew trying to be an actor. The Jewish people that kind of ran Hollywood, they kind of took care of their own. Whereas Gentiles, they were didn't have as much of an advantage. I would imagine up until this point, it was kind of the same thing, that, you know, that they were all believers, but the Jewish people were used to kind of take care of their own, and the Gentiles didn't mix so much. But now he's saying, as believers, take care of your own, regardless if you're a Gentile or a Jew.
Okay.
Or-
Yeah. Pursuing hospitality. Were you about to say something? You look like you were about to say something.
I was gonna say D, all of the above.
Oh, yeah, yeah, option D, right, all of the above, right. Pursuing hospitality. Is that, everybody got the word pursuing?
Seek to show.
Practicing.
Practicing, seeking? I
What
had,
did you say?
Seek to show.
Seek to show.
huh,
Seek to show.
hospitality. I guess I'll go ahead and ask it. What is hospitality? And don't say Holiday Inn, because I don't think that's hospitality.
I think hospitality, when you have someone in your home, you know, extending, you know, manners or whatever, but that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Welcoming.
Hospitality.
In some of the cultures I've worked in, the big deal is welcoming into their home.
Mhm.
In Kazakhstan, they're very nomadic, historically nomadic. And they literally would take up their tents and move with the herd, and then set up their tents, their yurts for another season or whatever. And when there was a traveler that went by, you didn't just ignore them standing outside with a proverbial shotgun. You welcomed them in the house, and there was a certain things you did, there was certain bread that you gave them, and their shoes go off, and they gave you a seat of honor, and you know, that's the hospitality thing. And it's very hard for them not to welcome you. Even though they don't like you and they're scared of you, they still have certain things that, you know, we do, we call it a handshake, if you will.
Mhm.
You walk up and you do a handshake. But in their culture, it's more than that. Come in, get out of the weather, let me get you a hot cup of tea or whatever. So I think that of hospitality is welcoming them in out of the proverbial weather, whatever that is, and giving them some comfort and sustenance.
Yeah, I was wondering how mobile they were at this time. Were they used to traveling, or did they have a need to travel where they would need to crash at someone else's house?
Well, they didn't really have hotels generally per se, so
Yeah.
I know, but
that's probably
I
right.
I couldn't see myself traveling around,
Well,
especially.
especially the Romans, I would imagine it was more, and their traveling was you had to walk, so it's not like
We know Paul traveled.
you, yeah.
Yeah, he had a
But he was-
purpose.
Aha, that's why he said that, aha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a place to stay, so.
That's right. I'll give you a case in point, hospitality. Many years ago, when I was more active in flying my small little airplane, I would rent a plane because I never owned one. And I needed to go up to near Nashville. And I thought, perfect, I'll take the plane that I rent over the weekends, and I'll just do that for a couple of days, or a day trip is all it was. I went up there. everything was great. Did what I needed to do. That next morning, I get into the plane and nothing. And it starts, and so it's shaking. I'm going, this is obviously not good.
No.
I'm a low-time flyer, but I don't think that's right. So I shut it off, went back into the FBO, started talking to the guys there, and calling the owner back here. What do I do? Like, what's going on? So found out that it was some major, I don't know, valve bent, I don't know, but
Sphincter valve.
it was a bad thing.
Yeah,
And-
that's something you wanted to get up at.
But apparently could be
5,000 feet,
fixed
yeah.
in many hours, could be fixed. And if you know anything about airplane things, you can't just have Joe from the local garage do it. It has to become flight worthy and it has to be done by a certified
Sure.
thing, of course. So now here I am, pretty much stuck for a good portion of the day, possibly have to stay overnight. Was not prepared for that. The mechanic guy invited me over to his house, and his wife, fed me lunch and just connected with me, and come to find out that he was a fellow believer as well as we went on. And this was a stranger coming into their house that was welcomed, and that is what I see as the hospitality, showing and pursuing, because it could have just let it, Howard, just sit there and
So,
wait.
there. and
Yeah,
get there.
exactly. But they went out of their way to bring me into their home and to minister, if you will, to that need that was there. To me, that's hospitality.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Paul was trying to say, that you've got to get out of your normal boundary of, looking out the window, gee, that's too bad that guy's got that problem. And then, looking away kind of thing. So, all right. Was that the end of the sentence? It was. So we get into 14. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Getting a little personal now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I mean, it sounds nice. It sounds like that would be a good refrigerator magnet.
I think for me, it helped, verse 18 helped answer that. If possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. So make that, if possible, make that the goal
Right.
and the outcome.
Kind of gets back to what you're saying, is tone down the vengeance.
Right.
Yeah, it's all qualities that we need to exhibit, like the hospitality. You wouldn't want to just start, being mean to people. Who's going to think you're a Christian if you walk in church and start cursing people out?
Yeah. That's my seat. Get out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Something that simple.
Not that I had a personal experience with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound pretty religious to say, bless those that persecute you? Is it, bless you, bless you, bless you.
Well, but blessings in those days was a big deal. You're blessing your firstborn.
So what is blessing? I want to talk about that. What does it mean to bless? Is that
Pray for.
yeah, what is it when you bless someone? Tell me the physical attitude or action. What are you doing when you bless someone? Are you just saying, oh, you sneeze, so bless you?
I think you're just wishing them well.
Do you walk up to them and say, I wish you well? I mean, is that, you see what I'm trying to ask, is what's going on?
Well, I'm trying to go back to blessings with a capital B, that you see like Abraham blessed, and that type of, even, Cain and Abel.
More
Who gets their
formality
blessing.
kind of thing, yeah.
And I don't know the right definition, but it's a way of saying, I want to bestow God's blessings on you. I'm giving you, in a way, everything intangible. I'm not blessing you with here's half of my estate, but it's some sort of an intangible, tangible
So
thing
that-
I'm trying to give you that I can't give you because I've given it away. Yeah, I have so much to give. I don't know, I'm making this up, but it's just, And I'm going back to the blessings that you hear in the Bible about blessing your firstborn,
I
blessing.
always thought those were like the last will and testament kind
Yeah,
of thing. They were
sort
more
of.
of a formality of that.
Here's one guy brought out 3 points. He said it involves wishing God's best on people, praying for them, and then another person used the word non-retaliation.
What context for the non-retaliation do you mean?
When they're cursing at you,
He
you
said
bless
that
them.
the principle of non-retaliation for personal injury permeates the entire New Testament.
Oh,
And
okay.
instead of retaliating,
I guess back to your point.
Right.
What comes to mind during this is like country women, when someone does them wrong, instead of, cursing them, they'll say, oh, bless her heart, or something.
We do that all, we say that all the time in our house.
But I can hear it in
Subtle
a country
insult,
twang.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Bless your little
Bless
heart.
your heart, but what they're saying is go to hell, but bless her heart,
are the two tied together in this phrase? Bless those who persecute you and do not curse. Blessing and curse. Is that kind of like the ends of the same stick?
Yes, I think so.
I think so, because even a curse is an intangible, kind of do the anti, what I said before about the blessing. Because a curse is nothing physical either, not tangible. It's just I don't want God to bless you, I want God to smite you, I want God to burn all your crops, I want God to,
May the fleas of 1,000 camels.
Exactly.
Your armpits.
you could be born naked, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the same mouth that you're blessing,
Oh,
and that you're cursing.
yeah.
Yeah.
James says that.
yeah. I don't remember where in Old Testament it talks very clearly about not to curse. It's one of those things that it's, and I don't mean like a swear word. I don't mean cursing in that context, but more of
Wishing bad
forete-
things, yeah.
wishing to the point of foretelling a bad thing onto a person.
So no more voodoo dolls.
Voodoo dolls, the witchcraft, that kind of stuff. Again, I can't remember exactly where I've seen that, but that cursing someone is really not a good thing.
Like karma's gonna get you.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Goes around, comes around.
Well, I think it's a mindset. I mean, getting back to the practical, I've said this before, and I don't know when I started this, but I'm sure it all related to this. When somebody cuts me off in traffic, you see people get mad and yell and curse and lay on the horn and stick fingers out the windows and everything else. I don't do that. One, I'm non-confrontational, but the other part of me is like, I feel sorry for him. I really do. And I guess I've done it enough now to where I honestly do feel sorry. That guy doesn't realize how dumb he's doing this, or how idiot,
How silly he looks.
He's
right.
gonna get into a wreck if he continues this attitude.
Right.
Something's gonna bad's gonna happen to him. And you're not wishing it, you're just, I feel sorry that he feels that this is gonna gain
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And I really do feel sorry for him. And so if I do we happen to get out at the hardware store together, I'm not, you cut me off back there and elbow him out and grab the cart in front of him or anything like that. Not that I would say, hey, sorry for but it's just an attitude.
Right.
It restrains your negativeness a little bit.
Yeah, my trick is in the car is I just assume they're saying hi.
Hello.
And I say it all the time. Man, the people in Mandeville are very friendly. It's just they're saying hi to me all over the place. And I got that from my time in Jamaica when we went on a little island tour and we were in a taxi. And that guy was honking at everything and everybody, whether it was a donkey to Aunt Verna, I don't know. But he was honking at everybody. It was that kind of an attitude, because it was honking like in New York.
Yeah.
It was the same level and frequency, but they were doing it completely different reasons.
Mhm.
And so that kind of changed my thinking of, anytime someone's honking at me, they're just saying, hey. So, that's the way I look at that. So, same kind of.
But it's a different mindset.
It's a different mindset
Than
altogether.
raising your blood pressure and
Exactly.
screaming bloody murder
Right.
and then ignoring your own behavior.
Right.
And
Well, I'm
they're
gonna get
saying,
right on his tail and show him that I didn't like that, you know.
Yeah.
they're saying, you're number one.
That's right.